In this video, there's now 3 channels in question that have collected information about BAZAAR, and I haven't never really caught up to the information, so I'll try to come out as a blank slate, even though I already made 4 videos surrounding the drama, potential drama that's bigger than BAZAAR, or bigger than you can imagine, because it surrounds principles of how people screw up video games in the first place. Again, my biggest example is Notch. He releases Minecraft very early on. Many people have documented the story. And maybe things I don't yet know about. I don't know. But he seems to... Oh. Yeah. I mean, I might want to catch up on the dude. But regardless of where he is now, I think Notch has made a wonderful game in a wonderful way that should be followed by every single game developer. I had the fortune to play Minecraft very early on and discover things about Minecraft that would keep me hooked for a lot of time. But the biggest hook, just like with HEARTHSTONE, is that new content is being developed all the time. And it doesn't matter that you're playing with bare bones game that wasn't even released. It was alpha, beta, right? And then all of a sudden, bam, slime. I guess Minecraft is done now, and nothing really changed dramatically besides Notch's reasoning to start leaving the company and giving it away to Microsoft. It's like, well, if you can keep on pumping Minecraft with features, I guess it's yours. Also, give me a few $1 billion. Congratulations. That's how much Minecraft was worth. It's like it was able to accumulate so much. Values such a crazy fan base that was revitalized on 2019 when, PewDiePie checked it out. Anything can happen. I think Minecraft is at the verge of dying, and everything has been done to the game that was possible to kill it, I guess, because I don't want to play it. I'm not interested. There is no hook anymore. And that's what I feel BAZAAR is lacking from the very fucking beginning. What's the hook of BAZAAR? It doesn't even look good in terms of gameplay elements. It doesn't look better than Hearthstone Battlegrounds because there's just like 10 slots for all the activity to happen and 4 slots for like additional hours. We got to see the board. We got to see the slice, the vertical slice, and Reynad went into hiding. God knows what's going on in the shadows. He will not reveal any information, will he? I mean, I don't know. This dude is trying to compile it desperately. Everyone is, trying to be nice except me. I'm trying to be realistic of like, I don't really care. And potentially this is the end game. This is the last video because all I need is now to react to the information that's floating around. To see if I'm correct or not. As a game developer, I have, my strategy of success, of how I will do things, but because I have a lack of resources, I have to make sure everything is pinpoint accurate. Of how I do things is pinpoint. So the major thing to learn about Minecraft is that it was released very early on. People saw like good things. Notch had the followers that he had and was able to start expanding in a different way. Just simply pumping whatever ideas. As a game developer, he basically was trying to have fun. Was trying to make a fun game. And just fully involved in the process, right? And I personally was like looking for a game like this. Looking for just a exploration game. No strings attached. You just roam around collecting resources. But it was way more overwhelming than what I was looking for. I was just like, I'm just gonna mine resources in some kind of game and sell those resources. Which Minecraft did not actually deliver the same exact experience. It's more like if the night comes out and you run out of time, there's going to be a lot of bad things happening. So you better make a shelter, you know, or you might not survive just exploring things. There's a threat looming, and the mob's gonna spawn, and you have to fight them now. And that's kind of it. There's no mobs in the daytime, and it's such a weird thing, right? Somehow that was enough to create a gameplay loop, but on top of that, you have the exploration of the caves. You have the ability to build and interact with everything. And another thing was looming around the corner, and what influencers were, you know, gathering around. Minecraft survival games, my friends. This is where a lot of big influencers took off, basically. Not even the game itself was good enough to spawn influencers. It needed something else. It needed people to build something on top of the game itself for it to be good. In my strategy, I imagine that I'll just need to harvest that idea while it's happening and help people develop it, listen to what people actually want to do. And if it's a good idea, I will just, you know, switch my attention. All right, let's fucking do survival games, whatever you care about. But it's a very similar concept still to just Minecraft itself, right? The difference is that you cannot break blocks, which is like, wait, what? The difference is that you're in a server, just collecting items and fighting other players. The only similarity is just it's called survival. And it's also in this blocky landscape. But now it's for the influencers, right? Then survival games turn into PUBG and turn into Fortnite. It's crazy. The influence of Minecraft on gaming in general, I cannot even describe it. I cannot explain everything to you. I can only explain the influence on me personally. What does that have to do with card games in the first place? See, only good, very well-trained people will be able to bridge gaps between ideas. The moment survival games became kind of boring, Minecraft died. The interest to Minecraft has diminished because we went from one thing to the other, all the influencers doing this thing, and they just stopped doing the thing. Now they just want to like get the maps of Minecraft, explore that, where again, you're not supposed to destroy anything anymore. Apparently, even though Minecraft allows you to build and do all these, you know, weird exploration things where you gather resources, now you're just gathering resources from chests, from crates. You're just looting places for resources to progress in your little adventure, whatever map gives you. And that's where people, you know, couldn't quite deliver the content. The Minecraft has flopped because the map makers were not able to make great maps. And survival games was becoming monotonous and pretty much the same. It was mastered, basically. And Minecraft has flopped. It was already venturing way too far away from the original game, original idea, and couldn't quite sustain itself. What has to happen for things to revitalize? Well, again, a big influencer like PewDiePie has to come back to the game, be interested, be invited to another survival games round with Technoblade, with different mini games involved, And it was able to live a little bit longer that way, right? People wanted to catch up because, okay, maybe it's ripened and PewDiePie seems to be pretty happy. But the survival game section was kind of a flop, dominated by Technoblade. It was pretty annoying to see that happen. Good riddance, am I right? We have removed Technoblade from the game, and now still doesn't work. Man, we need a better patch for the game, boys. Dream was able to actually get to the next level, right? When it comes to vision, Minecraft Dream, if you type Minecraft Dream, you understand you need even more intense emotions. You want to speedrun Minecraft. You want to be chased in Minecraft and get rid of chasers. This guy has been able to achieve the third level of Minecraft, meaning that there is a higher idea besides survival games. But everyone still has to experience survival games to understand how good Minecraft is, because it just keeps moving forward, right? And you have to appreciate these guys who are trying to, level up and find even better idea that already was found. It's a stretch. It hurts Dream the same way it hurt Technoblades to be the best survival games expert. But, yeah. Minecraft has halted its progression. No one knows where it's going to go next. And as long as nobody knows, the game is dead. Just because Dream has discovered the next thing, is anyone gonna build it? Is anyone gonna follow it and advertise it properly and entice a lot of influencers to play the next thing? Because even the Dream himself was not able to do it. He's just faster, so fast that he's a teaser of the game and not an actual developer that can bring something to life, and didn't even want it developing things. Which brings us in a cycle of, things. What is the cycle of Hearthstone then? What is Reynad trying to achieve, and what's the level of Hearthstone we are experiencing right now? Because I'm a fast player, I'm like Dream, and he's like Technoblade, right? He's like the dude that wants to master Hearthstone, but then eventually he wants to build his own version. That's a very different story now. But it's very inspiring to play Hearthstone and know that the game is so simple that you can just recreate your own version, right? You feel like you can do it. You feel like the game is not that challenging enough, so you want a bigger challenge. You want a little bit more complexity in the game. You don't want to be stuck playing 1 drops, 2 drops, 3 drops on curve, playing 1 card at a time sometimes. That's not a challenge. You don't want to be stuck with like 3 dead cards in your hands at any given turn that you know you're never going to play, that you're never going to consider. I think Reynad saw the vision of Hearthstone and its problems to some extent as a pro player. Not necessarily as a developer like myself, but as a pro player he was seeing flaws that he wanted to fix. But it leads him into cycle of self-abuse and self-destruction and not knowing what to do. And even though he's a fine leader, he can still be abused by, fine scammers. Or just the change of the world. Just the time itself can suck life out of him. So it doesn't matter how big and great his vision is and how many people contribute to that vision, they might fail anyways. Who's to be trusted? Who knows how to do a better card game? Who knows how to step into the next grounds of where Hearthstone needs to be? Well, some people know. As I am the fastest, I am the Dream of Hearthstone, I realized where the dream lies. Who has made the best version of Hearthstone? A version of Hearthstone that does not need to be changed because it's already good as it is. And nobody cares about it because, well, fuck it, right? If that's your dream, you live your dream, and nobody cares. You know, that's the whole point. That's my struggle. I get to live my dream, but nobody can follow. Nobody wants to follow. Nobody's capable of following. Nobody has the brain capacity to follow what I'm doing. So while Reynad is working on his game and has a lot of followers who are still trying to keep him together, basically, I walk alone ahead of everyone else, but I'm still, you know, struggling with loneliness and depressive, cruel worlds. See, it's a very interesting story. Everything is a parallel. Now I get to be in action, activated, aware of what's going on, and hopefully I don't make similar mistakes. I'll try to not shut up. First of all, I think that's a pretty big mistake. Trying to not shut up because it clears up all the drama, all the negativity. Let's not shut up. Let's keep on talking about stories and feelings and all that shit. Express ourselves. And potentially, we have to respect Reynad because he doesn't want to shut up either. All right? As emotional as this sentence might be, you know, like, he also wants to express something about something. He also feels strong emotions as he's traveling in this wasteland of finding the next game for Hearthstone. You know, there's a lot of pressure for him. There's a lot of pressure for me because I have a lot of skills, and a lot of pressure for him because he has a lot of investment into this, and he might not actually succeed. And I don't want to see him fail, as you can tell. It's not necessary for me. It's not necessary for people to compete against each other and be rivals and be nasty and all that shit. But it's not like he acknowledged me. So I'll be nasty until he says hi. How's it going? I'll keep on being nasty, unfortunately. Right? Because I'm being nasty to everything that's keeping us apart. That's the vision of Hearthstone. And it's a vision of just a balanced game. Game balance. Minecraft never really needed game balance because the game is balanced simply because it needed multiplayer, right? What do you do in a multiplayer? Well, just smack each other with swords. Great. No balance needed. You just need to figure out how to make it as beautiful, as smooth experience as possible. That's the survival games. In Hearthstone, however, the problems are a little bit different. Balance is very much needed. It's the only thing that keeps the game interesting and makes the game very complicated. Because what Elder Scrolls Legends had to do is change a few things of how the fundamentals work. And I will tell you the successful parts that have been added and the not so successful parts that kind of flopped. First of all, the not successful part, and I know that for sure, is the mana system. The mana system cannot just start from 1 to 2 to 3. It's degenerate. That shit doesn't work. A lot of card games just copy and paste the mana system. And I know for a fact, I have tested 1 mana to start with is the stupidest thing you can do for yourself. If every minion has Rush, what's the point? Yu-Gi-Oh! Does not have a mana system. Yu-Gi-Oh! You just play a fucking minion. And as long as you make it survive, well, it can be sacrificed for a bigger minion. It's a little bit weird mechanic, but Yu-Gi-Oh! Is still alive because it does not have the mana system. Otherwise, Yu-Gi-Oh! Would just die. All the greatest ideas that people need to know, they're still alive. That's why they're alive and not doing anything else. you hold certain amount of ideas, it seems. You hold the soul of something, of the future, and you want to make it real or just carry an upgrade, the damn thing. So, one thing has led to a lot of downfalls in card games. Just a simple mana system that doesn't work, that people still haven't figured out how to make it work. I think I found a perfect system for that. I revealed it, I talked about it, I don't have to say too many things, you know. It will be revealed once again and over again, and you will realize, yeah, that's a lot better. But I'll just say this. What if you could sacrifice a card? All these unnecessary cards, what if you can sacrifice and make mana out of them? That's my suggestion. Everything in a card game, just like in Minecraft, everything has to be useful, usable in some kind of way. In survival games, the biggest downfall is that not everything can be used, but everything that you see in the chests is meant to be, well, useful in some kind of way. You can craft something, you can do something with it, right? You can maybe use limited amount of items, but everything you find is supposed to be useful, like snowballs. Fishing rod was useful at some point. Definitely food and armor, the basics, right? So everything you get into your hands as a game, it should be useful. Everything should be considerable. And that's the second, downfall as a domino falls. It falls right onto your hands. Not everything can be played. Not everything can be played even when you have mana for it, because it has to have targets and all that nonsense. So Elder Scrolls Legends fixed that too. Oh wait, it didn't fix the first thing, so it didn't fix the second thing either. But at least it feels that the cards are sort of useful most of the time. It has the most generic effects, and they kind of synergize with each other, even if they don't know each other in a way. It's such a well-spirited game. Two things can synergize even if they from different colors and seemingly from different tribes. But if you could just activate this death rattle effect in some kind of significant way, you can sacrifice a card by playing another card on top. Maybe buffing things, maybe equipping a special item that you want to get back because it costs 0 mana or some nonsense that you can equip on another creature. Who knows what kind of little synergies you can find in this game, but you can start finding something special, something that never really was done before. And Hearthstone is somewhat similar, but it's based on RNG. RNG that Reynad, fought against quite a bit is his notorious thing that he's upset about. RNG, too much RNG that can dictate the game, especially early on. But the reason why early on RNG is disgusting is because you go from 1 mana to 3, 4, 5 and beyond, right? Everything that happens in early game, whoever owns the board as well, this is why Blizzard was desperately trying to make board clears a thing, but it failed because board clears are not fun. Anything that comes out of your hand and immediately starts doing things is not actually fun. Minions tend not to do things. Minions tend to maybe trade into other minions, do some kind of small effect for later, or just buff another creature. But they don't just go face or clear the board. And I think Hearthstone just failed in that category, where Elder Scrolls Legends just found a stable version of the game and stopped development because everyone kind of needs to know how this works, and there's not a lot of players interested anyways. We can just stop, right? Maybe it's not as successful as we thought, but for me it was just fabulous. There's 8 minion slots, but even though you have an extra slot for minions, the board is split in 2. So another thing Bethesda saw as a problem, but like actually saw instead of the mana thing, because mana thing is cringe. They didn't saw that at all. They even give some bots extra mana, thinking that that's okay to do when extra mana feels like they have 3 times more mana. At one turn, they have twice as more mana at the second turn, and they start controlling the board and you lose. Basically, Bethesda somewhat saw that controlling the board is bad, but that borklers are not supposed to take it back. You know, what is supposed to take it back is the general competition between minions, and most importantly, and guards and drain minions and the effects that they have should take back the board, should take back the, control of the game. And it does happen. It does go back and forth. Sometimes it goes to fatigue with bots. With real players, you have 50 card decks. It's not going to go to fatigue at all. You just get out control, you lose all your resources, and they smack you because they have more resources. But the fundamental of the game is pretty interesting. The game is split into 2 lanes. If you don't want your monsters to be attacked, if your monster is supposed to generate some kind of value, this game respects that and allows you to do it. Allows you to generate just enough fun for yourself so you don't lose the game simply because you lost the board. If they wanted to have less board clears, they had to split the board in 2. And even on top of that, give stealth to minions who go here. But because the board is split in 2, this part of the board is smaller than, the big Hearthstone board. Of 7 minions, here you can only fit 4. And as I've said, the additional synergy being that if you replace a death rattle, it will activate its death rattle as the whole flavor of having just 4 minions. You can replace them. If you feel like one of them is slacking or one of them is just a 1/1 token that's not needed right now. Whatever the case might be, we have 2 sides of the board that serve different purposes. The main line is to be taken over. Just like in Hearthstone, you want to take over this thing. In the Shadow Lane, you're sort of defending yourself still. You want to remove big threats. And you don't necessarily want to move passive abilities onto here. Abilities that would generate more value. You actually want to use this as a last resort if you haven't taken over the open lane. Because here, you can get every single trade, every single good trade that your opponent puts a minion, you can trade into it. Right? And usually you're only going to get good trades if you have items, if you have something that your opponent does not take in consideration because it's in your hand. Right? The moment you take over the open lane and you start dealing damage, your opponent can move to the closed lane, where they have access to your face the same way, but they no longer have access to good trades. The moment they put a minion, they kind of will be forced to attack face. And you can just, destroy the minion right after. If they're desperate and put things in a shadow lane, their minions are even more vulnerable than in the open lane. Even more. The only difference is that these minions can go attack face undisturbed. They can be undisturbed for a whole turn if they have passive abilities, as I've said. That's the strategy of the game. And it's a little bit different than in Hearthstone. If you allow your minion to survive 1 turn, you wouldn't be printing shit like Titans, of all things. Blizzard have tried many fucking weird shenanigans and everything seems to be backfiring in terms of fun and interactivity. I don't know what the fuck they're smoking, basically. A lot of the times in a Hearthstone, Titan comes down or some fucking colossal minion comes down and it shuts down the game. Clears your opponent's board and is way too strong to beat, and sometimes it has continuous passive abilities that just makes things out of control. In this game, things seemingly are still balanced, as they should be. And no giant minions just changed the game fundamentally, except, well, they kind of did. They did print its 11 mana giants, like 16/16 across the board that people complain about. But it's more of a control moment. Control moment where if you don't have that card, you're not going to have a successful control deck. That's just fundamental. But you can still build tempo decks, you can still build aggro decks. In fact, that's the funny thing. I lean on to Reynad whenever I see tempo because he kind of coined the name. He used the name extensively and built a company with that name in mind. I respect tempo. I don't call it fucking mid-range or bullshit like that. He got a perfect name for his game. That is, or for his company. Because it holds an idea of some kind. It's tempo storm or whatever. I don't care. It's wonderful, right? That's the power of ideas. That's the power of ideas to shut him down because he doesn't want to disclose good ideas. He thinks it's too powerful to be disclosed. But instead, it developed pretty nasty ways. So apparently I do have something to talk about, do I? We're in a whole storyline of how I found myself playing this better version of Hearthstone. And on top of everything, there's support cards. On top of everything, there's two more things to know about this game, because there's also runes. Just because you split the game in two, okay, fine. Whatever, right? This shit works just like locations in Hearthstone, but they have their own place. Hearthstone doesn't want to change, doesn't want to have anything else but a weapon slot, a hero power slot, and 7 monster slots. Now, I don't know if Elder Scrolls Legends is correct by removing the hero power slot, because the game is even less bearable when you're on turn 2 and 3 and you have nothing to do. That was the use of hero power. I kind of believe that Hearthstone made it right, and you should potentially spawn with some kind of support cards that help you out. A coin, this ring of coins, it actually holds 3 coins, and again, I think the purpose is the same, is to remove hero powers. So more coins have to be given, because when you're idle, you're very idle. You're doing absolutely nothing. I think that is disgusting at first few turns when the game is being decided to do absolutely nothing. As I've said, that's the biggest problem of the game as it stands, to do nothing. So the problem was not Flame Juggler. The problem is that you're not very efficient with your mana. You're not actually doing anything first few turns in aggressive decks. They just have to get lucky, and they destroy the shit out of you. That is it. Lucky that you didn't draw the board clear or minions to fight against their board, then it's game over. So that part of the game definitely sheds down a lot of strategies. A lot of deck building problems rise from that, because Blizzard needs to print out minions past 6 mana that actually actively do major things. Way too many things cards do when they're 6 and above mana. And with Sire Denathrius, with things like Ignis, I've realized, and I've started checking on my channel, right? All of those problems or problematic cards So there's this one. This happens every expansion. Every expansion, Blizzard prints out a bunch of problematic giant cards that have to be nerfed, but they're not being nerfed, and it just stays there like that. And sometimes these are legendaries. These are just game-winning moments that are not supposed to be in the game, but now you have to add it to your every single fucking deck. The Dr. Boom never goes away. You need Dr. Boom, you need it in your deck. One slot is taken away from you. Good luck. You know, good fucking luck. You have to figure out how to activate that thing. Otherwise, you're not playing control deck, you're just playing a flop. And sometimes you will be, by good players, by good RNG, you'll be forced in a control matchup every single time, and it's gonna be the deciding factor if you have drawn the fucking card, if you play the fucking card, if you got the good effect out of the fucking card. Everything gets to be decided by this giant bullshit. One card wins the game. I hate that. It's unbelievable nonsense that Hearthstone turned into. It's not 2-drop that wins the game. It's the end of the game that lasted a very long time that should be decided by something reasonable, but it wasn't. It was decided by random. For real random. Something that you can't do shit about. You cannot recover from this. You just lose. And now everyone is complaining about Brand because it's having the most massive effect, doubling battle cries of every single card. Those are important control tools to upgrade yourself, but when the upgrade is so dramatic, I mean, shit, you failed to balance the fucking game again. The biggest balancing factor of Elder Scrolls Legends, besides the missing, support cards that help you survive, it would be very nice if you could have a little bit of a hero power to start with. If you could slot something in here very quickly, I would like that. But support cards are pretty good at controlling the game, at making the game, or you stronger. You stronger throughout the game, you buff your minions with a certain support card. A certain support card will shut down the game. This one deals 20 damage, heals you for 20 damage, you just need to kill 20 minions. So you show your opponent this and they will know that you're a control archetype, you're just gonna wait it out because you have a pretty good chance of winning, right? Once this activates. But you have wasted a card. And you exposed yourself in a way. For sure. But the biggest mechanic that tries to balance the game out, and again, it flops because you don't have enough mana for that mechanic. You can still be destroyed. So it goes pretty deep. But this rune mechanic cannot be ignored. Bethesda tried to balance the game of Hearthstone as when you take damage, you gain some kind of bonus. The rune mechanic is the biggest part of the game, I would say. This is where you draw cards. This is where you're calculating every single fucking move. Even how much damage you want to deal to your opponent has to be calculated, because bad things can also happen when you trigger runes, which I don't fucking like because it stops the game. The prophecies are bullshit, okay? So I don't want to talk about prophecies too much. It doesn't work. Prophecies are nonsense. But the idea of prophecies is good, is fine, right? So when you destroy a rune, if the card has prophecy, and it's reminded me of a game I played before. It is known as Duel Monsters, and for fuck's sake, it's not a fucking Yu-Gi-Oh! It is that. And I don't know if people even know about it. There was an anime called Duel Monsters. They don't show a single card, it seems. This one. This is how cards look like. I had collection of this shit. Bruh. In Duel Monsters, you use cards as mana, but you only use one card putting in the mana slot. So it's not that crazy. You also have shields. The moment your shield is broken, you get the card. The same way they were aware of Duel Monsters, these developers. Someone was aware because you have 5 shields here as well. Your shield gets broken, you get a card. If the card has a prophecy tag, a special tag, it will activate its effect. They have stolen from Duel Monsters and put it in the game. I have noticed that thing. And not unlucky for them, I'm familiar with Duel Monsters, even though it's buried alive by some fucking Yu-Gi-Oh reference. This mechanic in a Hearthstone environment is very brilliant, I would say. Not only you have exactly 5 slots, the slot number 25, the slot number 20, I'm talking about health here, the slot 15, 10, and 5. It's a very beautiful system where Hearthstone started with 30 health and it has 5 slots in between. So 5 breaking points. So for every 5 health that you go down, a rune is broken and you draw a card. I think that's fantastic. That really helps you manage your resources, and as long as, you know, your cards cost very little mana, it's a very impactful part of the game. But when you are on 3 mana and you lose half of your health points to some bullshit that's way too aggressive, there's nothing you can do. Unless your cards cost 0 mana, or there are really prophecies that got triggered, not by randomness, but like because you have a lot of prophecies. But I'll tell you this much. That's the biggest pain point about prophecies. They're completely random. Randomness in these sort of games, in these sort of strategy games, not always welcome. And especially when you're really trying to win the game, not always welcome. Maybe if you can generate a random card, that's somewhat acceptable for fun and whatnot, for additional strategy when you're discovering a card. But, you know, Blizzard also leans into that way too much because they're looking for fun things. But this was great. At least you draw a card. Alright, Prophecy mechanic, total flop. I fucking despise it. It's too random. But the rune mechanic is brilliant because, again, it's a lot of calculation. Sometimes you get scared of attacking your opponent too fast. Not because you're going to trigger a prophecy. Maybe you have a mutual understanding that prophecies is just a not fun mechanic and you're not going to play that shit. But what is interesting is, as you attack your opponents, you will give them resources. But if you wait, you might lose the game because you're going to get out-controlled. You have major choices to choose from. Will you attack your opponent or not? In a Hearthstone, you don't give a fuck. You just attack as many times as you want. Nothing bad is going to happen. In this game, if you attack your opponent, you might lose because of that. You might give them too many resources too fast, and it's game over. You haven't established a big board against them, and they take it away from you. There's additional layer of strategy, and that shit slams, bro. If you were looking for something complicated, here you go. Reynad. We can swap right now and do a very good job, because I can definitely build a good card game, and he can definitely enjoy Elder Scrolls Legends in a competitive way. He has his friend Raran that he could enjoy Elder Scrolls Legends with. I'm sure there's a lot of things we can do if we just swap. I have something hostage that he likes, and he has something hostage called game development that I like. Just let's swap some shit in here. Alright? Let's make a trade. I hope someone's drooling out here to make that trade happen. It's a weird proposition, but I just like figured that's what the case is here. You know, I'm addicted to this thing because it's so good. I don't want to let go. But Reynad is probably addicted to his thing because he really wants to build a fucking game that's gonna be something in the card game universe, something better than what we have in Hearthstone. But we went different ways that sort of like we got tangled, it seems. So as weird as it is, let's finish the whole thing. The way I would redesign prophecies and runes in general, just give a fucking coin to me, please. Just give me a resource that I can actually use and it's not random. Because holy shit, that would have been so much better. And Hearthstone is trying their best to invest into like Tavern Brawl and figure out what mechanics would make the game more interesting. But for some reason the damn thing is flopping and people are not working hard enough on it. They're not investing fully. So they try to make a twist format where they're gonna fully invest of like, well, there's a special rule. I think we figured out from Tavern Brawl which rules you like the most. Nah, they couldn't do twist format. I don't know why. I don't know how. But Hearthstone shows the incapacity to improve in a way. And for me, it seems like, well, someone has to fucking make card game for sure. This is why I lean towards Reynad of like, dude, if you don't make a good fucking card game, we're gonna be pissed. There's a lot of need for a proper card game right now. But all of a sudden, you know, every single step of the way, Reynad either disappears, removes the deck from his card game, no longer a card game, pretends that he has invented crazy ideas that no one must learn from and try out. You know, Elder Scrolls Legends potentially stole many ideas from other card games. And mostly Hearthstone just ripped it off. But it made it better, and it's justified. If you can make it better, it is justified for you to take the idea and not fucking worry about it too much. So, it's called fair use, my friends. It's called fair use. Sniper Wolf is still gonna survive on YouTube because she uses fair use. She transforms TikToks into compilations. Simple as that. I have looked into that drama extensively. I know what it's like to have ideas. I don't know what it's like to have ideas stolen, but I see it happen, and I'm not worried about it. Because, well, AI is stealing everyone's ideas. AI is gonna steal everything. And the biggest threat is like, will AI like us back or doesn't like us back? Will we be able to take things from AI that we deserve, or is just gonna be spread out equally across the internet? That's what I'm scared of. AI is definitely gonna steal everyone's ideas and not necessarily give anything in return. That's the scary part. The fact that other people steal your ideas, I'm sorry, I'm not worried. The fact that people disrespect your ideas, I'm not worried. They just don't understand. What I'm worried is that those ideas will no longer inspire people to follow what's being, promised. And so the promise does not have a pressure to be fulfilled either. No one cares. All the doors are closed and Reynad can be scammed behind closed doors. I think Reynad can be trusted. I just don't think Reynad's friends can be trusted. That's the whole point. That's the reason why this drama seems relevant right now, is we don't know what's going to happen. And I'm shutting things down, and as a bonus, I'll still have to leech off Reynad, and maybe I'll come up with something else to talk about. But that's where we are in history, I come from a Minecraft background, and I have seen things happen, and I know where we are in this situation, where the pressure is on me. I'm the only one speaking. I'm the only one who understands how deep the situation is. Because I merely want things to happen again. Just like I wanted Minecraft to exist, and suddenly it fucking exists. Crazy. Now the pressure is on me because when I want a special card game to exist, I actually have the power to build it myself. Fuck that shit. Yeah, universe doesn't fuck around, you know. The last dramatic thing that I've done with BAZAAR is go to their Discord server. And it's funny to me because the ending was, how do you make women respect you, came out into my mind, and I'm realizing, you know, I feel like Reynad has a lot of respect from women. I think that he's known for that to some extent, but he's now kind of staying away from them and turning into a hermit of some kind. But I feel like that's a very relevant theme to ask someone about. If they are fans of Reynad and Reynad's game, they better fucking know how to get respect from women. I'm just saying, bro. If you want to expose people in BAZAAR community, or technically in any community, just talk about women a little bit, and you'll see true colors come out. Men want to be tough, they want to defeat everyone else, out-conquer everyone else, they want to be the best. But the moment you distract them with this just one thought, that is not a distraction, is like, you should be worrying about that all the time. You see how weak they truly are. You know, you see the incompetency, to say the least, of a man. Because for a man to be successful is to at least attract a very decent woman in their lives. And I think Reynad is not being attractive right now. I'm just saying. Alright, you have a little bit of chance to steal something from Reynad when it comes to relationships. I mean, but that's one chance he's giving you, guys. He's gonna come back and kick some ass. So let's see if we can at least find some happy things to say about Reynad, because it's a happy video. And not that screenshot that I took. Let's keep it. Oh my god, everything's lagging for me.
Nothing. And I was so angry.
I get the energy from Reynad of like, he's a respectable man, but he still wants to find himself fully realize himself. He doesn't know what the fuck's going on in his life. There's a lot of changes that he wants to make, a lot of contemplation he wants to do before he starts appearing in the public view correctly, you know. Again, which is why this discussion is very important. In the eyes of a woman, are you going to be impressive? In the eyes of a person who doesn't know you, but wants to be attracted to you because, you know, they want to have a relationship or whatever, right? In the eyes of a woman, are you going to be attractive when you're trying to be competitive and trying to be cruel to others? Like, is it going to work out? Or are you just going to attract some trash?
Made me just like keep going.
So I think, you know, again, I get the vibe that he's still like a normal person working on himself and digging deep. He can go insane, though. I don't know how I can help, but I've been through that too. So I hope things don't escalate worse, because at least they're worse than what it seemed to be. So the only thing, we can just hope and pray that this guy comes back to normal, right?
On the personal side.
And becomes impressive again. Because being in this sort of situation, it's up in the air. You don't understand what's going on. No one understands fully. Just for the record, I'm gonna pump some, I guess, into my buttons. Also a very important thing to note, right? How powerful of a game I've made to myself, you know? There's nothing more successful for a game developer but to develop a game, especially that nobody cares about. A game that nobody cares about but you. That means you made the best game. No one has access to your game. you only have access and interest and you play it every single day. I think that's the best possible game you can make. And this is how you should look at game development. When people look at the game development from standpoint of profit, they will always lose. Because games are fundamentally supposed to be fun, and sometimes games don't belong in the market. No one cares about gaming potentially, or nobody cares about your particular indie game. To actually win over the market, you have to think completely differently. And this is why, again, I think Reynad can flop in two different ways. Either his game is a flop, or his developers are flopping him as a person, or failing him as a person, or robbing him of whatever he has.
This crime, yeah. I mean, what's good about it? You know, it's like the rest of LA. Every step smells like feces. The amount of there's a lot of homeless, like a lot.
Again, suddenly based information we're getting of him retreating, him doing all these retreat acts upon himself. And hopefully, again, everything turns out good because, like, again, he seems to be a normal person trying to escape certain problems. Who knows what's going on in actuality? I don't think he's going to be open enough to let us figure out. Especially when this is not openness. This is a very closed-minded setup, right? I don't know what I'm getting from this guy. I don't know what I'm watching. I can barely, like, stand this sort of stuff. And even in this video, I tried, but I realized I have something to talk about myself, something mindly more important.
A friends and family demo for the BAZAAR, that was kind of cool. Sent the game outside of the company for the first time. A couple folks tried it. I sent it to a couple streamers last minute. Raren played it. They had some super nice feedback. I was flattered. Yeah, a bunch of other ones I sent it to. I don't think they even opened.
That's fascinating. That part gives us hope, for sure. Raren played it.
Yeah, anyway. So, but yeah, we'll do another demo here in a few weeks, start of May, and then you guys will be hearing more about the game soon after that.
Well, we're at May. We'll see. I mean, the clock's ticking. He seems to be very, very confident, and I like that. But he's also a salesman to some extent. You must understand what BAZAAR stands for is to sell things. It's something that happening in his brain. He wants to sell the game very desperately, but he understands maybe the game is gonna flop, maybe it's not gonna be good enough, maybe the market doesn't want the fucking game, but I will just do a massive, massive surprise when it comes out to everyone. And if Raren gives good feedback, I honestly don't care because he's a social person. He wants to be nice. He tries all kinds of different card games. Not for the reason of analyzing those card games, but for the reason of, well, finding something that, is interesting for people to see. Something different. Exploring is Raren's, main purpose. So I don't know if Reynad got the feedback he needs, so to speak, at the moment.
Yeah, that game made me do a lot of thinking about ownership of ideas.
It's so annoying. It's the same theme that he constantly thinks about. And when I was in a dead year, and I don't want to fucking talk about the dead year, but 1 year was stolen from me, I was bumping into one dude who was like, oh, I made a game for cards for this 52 card deck, right? The standard cards. He mentioned that he made a game for it, and I'm like, well, let's play the fucking game. And then he's like, well, no, you're gonna steal my idea. I want to patent the idea first. And it's like, what? Are you that fucking stupid? There's something about it, right? So when he's thinking about selling his ideas, of course, he's like, well, the ideas are valuable. If someone steals my ideas are less valuable. But for fuck's sake, an idea cannot be stolen. Like, it just cannot be fucking stolen. Can we just settle on that shit? Just like, when you put files for people to download, you don't have 1,000 of these files. You have copies that you're making with your digital copies. So if someone took and played your game right now, it has been stolen, it has leaked. It's game over now. But it is important, right? All these leaks, all these like weird things that are floating around. That's why Minecraft was so fucking successful. I feel like it didn't give a fuck. You know, it had done something good and it wanted to share that good thing with the people. It's just a very direct response of making good things. You desperately want people to have it because it's a good thing. That's when you have 100% trust, and that's when you have a good development tactic, good strategy. You build something good and you want people to have it. This is the reason why I made this channel in the first place, and it makes me a better person. I have an idea in my head, I want to talk about it, I want to share everything. People are not going to tune in anyways. There's so many people who will not tune in, and people who are viciously trying to rip me off, I don't care, bro. You'll leave anyways. Some fucking dude come to my Discord trying to rip me off in a way, realizing that it's kind of fucking pointless. Because slowly you realize you can't take an exact copy of my idea and implement it yourself, because it takes work and effort and all that shit. You can make a small indie game about it, and that's great. I'll steal from your ideas too. Just allow people to steal ideas, because you will allow yourself to steal ideas. You must understand, you will be able to take advantage. If you have a gaming operation set up, if you have hundreds of people, they could also just sit there and steal ideas. And no one's gonna get hurt. It's crazy. This guy is getting into a lawsuit because he's too fucking slow of developing a game. And guess why he's slow? Because he does not want to rip other people's ideas. He's way too sensitive about it, and that fucking sucks, bro. He doesn't want to offend people. I think that's what's going on. Fundamentally. I think this is where we have to end the discussion, because that's his biggest gripe that he needs to eat the cake about. Alright? Eat the whole 1 hour video cake, unfortunately. If he doesn't do that, you know, the drama continues and everything collapses. And I come out victorious, of course. Fuck yeah, I do both things very well myself. How about that? Escape Hearthstone metagame into a higher elevation and build my own card game at the same time. I live the dream and I build the dream myself. That would be a pretty fucking shitty endgame to the drama, but fuck it. If that's how we want to play, if I'm better than everyone else, we'll see. They have limited time, and I'm putting on the race shoes right now. Past this point, I will develop what is known already as a mega bug. You'll see. You'll see.